So before I start this video comparing pensions and ISAs and which is best, please make sure you click the like button on this video and you subscribe to our channel to help us help as many people as we can with our video content. If you find it useful, please support us. A pension is what most people think about first when considering long-term savings, but you can also use an ISA, which stands for an independent savings account, to put money away for the future. And in this review, we will give you a breakdown of the key features and benefits of both. So let's start with a pension. Now, a pension is a savings plan which you can, and your employer, if you are employed, can add to throughout your working life. And the aim is for the pot of money to grow over time, giving you an income to live off when you come to retire. A pension comes with some pretty generous tax breaks, but the one drawback is you can't withdraw the money until you are aged 55. Now, you can join a pension scheme through your workplace or set up your own, such as a self-invested personal pension called a SIP for short. We explain more about pensions in more detail in our video, What is a Pension and How Does It Work, which you can find a link to in the notes below this particular video. Now, an ISA stands for an individual savings account, as I've mentioned, which is an account offered by banks, building societies and other investment platform providers and apps, into which you can save up to £20,000 a year tax-free. Most people don't pay tax on their savings now anyway, thanks to the government's personal savings allowance, which protects interest of £1,000 a year for a basic rate taxpayer and £500 a year for higher rate taxpayers from tax. But ISAs can still be useful if you're lucky enough to exceed this threshold, and they can be good for other reasons too. We explain ISAs in more detail in our video, the different ISA types explained, which we link to again in the show notes below this video. So how much can you pay into a pension? Well, in theory, you can pay as much as you want, but you will only get tax relief on contributions up to the value of 100% of your annual earnings or the annual allowance of £40,000 each tax year, whichever is lower. Now, there are some other nuances in terms of the rules. So somebody who doesn't pay tax can actually pay £2,880 a year and get tax relief on that money, which takes the amount up to £3,600. And there is something called the money purchase annual allowance, which limits how much you can put into a pension each tax year if you've already started to access your pension. And there is something else you have to bear in mind, which we're not going to go into detail on this video, but something called the lifetime allowance, which is basically an allowance above which, if your pension pot accrues to that sum, you can face tax, particularly when you go and access your pension pot at retirement. But that value is way over £1 million. So for most people, they won't encounter the lifetime allowance and that potential tax charge. So how much can you pay into an ISA? Well, you can pay £20,000 into an ISA in each tax year, but you can split that across the different types of ISA that exist. For example, you could put £4,000 per year in a lifetime ISA, which is actually the maximum you can put into a lifetime ISA, but not everybody qualifies to contribute to a lifetime ISA. On top of that, you could then put £11,000 in a stocks and shares ISA and £5,000 into a cash ISA. Of course, you can also pay up to £9,000 per year into a junior ISA on behalf of a child, and that doesn't come off of your own personal ISA allowance. When you save into a pension as a basic rate taxpayer, you get an automatic 20% government top-up, which goes into that pension. Meanwhile, higher and additional rate taxpayers can get an extra 20% or 25% tax relief, but they have to claim that back themselves, which you usually do via your tax return. Now, with ISAs, you don't pay tax on any interest you earn. Any money you withdraw from an ISA will be tax-free, whereas money you take out of a pension will attract tax. Well, that is except for 25% of your total, which you are allowed to take tax-free. So when it comes to planning, people might plan what type of assets they might hold in, say, a stocks and shares ISA, for example, or a pension, depending on how they want to take an income later in life. So is an ISA better than a pension? Well, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. In most cases, you'd be better off with a pension if you're saving for retirement, because if it's a workplace scheme, your employer will likely pay into it too, which is effectively free money. There are situations, however, where an ISA may be better depending on what you are saving or investing for. If it is a medium-term goal and you want to access the money sooner than retirement age, then investing via an ISA could be a good solution, as it is also tax efficient. Before you open an ISA or a pension, there are a few questions to ask yourself so you can choose the right product for you. These questions can include: when do you need access to the money? Is it before the age of 55? Can you benefit from employer pension contributions? How flexible do you want your investments to be? And how much money will you actually need to retire? In summary, if you're not sure whether you need a pension or an ISA, then why not have both? Because technically you can, and you can benefit from both types of product. Now, if you want a more in-depth look at pensions versus ISAs, including investment choices and who can inherit a pension or an ISA, then check out the full article on the Money to the Masses website, which you can access via the link on screen or below this video. As I said before, please make sure you like this video if you found it useful and subscribe to our channel.